Today we got some more tech news and leaks concerning AMD's Ryzen, which as we get closer and closer to its release, expected in early March, is very likely to become more and more frequent here in the coming weeks. As always, links to all our sources for today's stories will be linked down in the description below, and while you're down there, if you enjoyed today's video, then please consider leaving us a like and subscribing if you're not already. So big news over the weekend, which I personally spent down in Philadelphia for a little Valentine's weekend getaway, which was an absolutely awesome time getting to check out some of our nation's history and Reading Terminal Market, just an amazing city that I haven't had the pleasure of exploring until now, so I definitely plan to go back in the future as I feel I've really only kind of scratched the surface of what Philly has to offer. But during that time, let me tell you, we had some tremendous, absolutely huge leaks coming concerning AMD's Ryzen pricing and performance. Maybe the biggest leak so far. Nobody has bigger leaks than us. You can ask Sean, he'll tell you this leak is freaking big. Hashtag make AMD great again. A few days ago, pricing showed up for Ryzen's top three processors, the 1800X, 1700X, and 1700 CPUs on ShopBLT, a Chinese retailer which has the CPUs available for pre-order. For those not familiar, ShopBLT has been responsible for accurate price leaks in the past when listing AMD parts for pre-order. Thanks to Baidu, we now have the full lineup with things taken into account like exchange rate and tax difference with the Chinese yuan versus US dollar. Atop the stack, we have the 1800X listed at $499 with its 8 cores and 16 threads. This is likely to be the equivalent of the Black Edition naming that AMD has been using in the past for some of its highest bin parts. We can see the base clock of 3.6 GHz and a boost of 4 GHz along with 16 megabytes of L3 cache. This is certainly going to be the CPU that I want to use in a test system and one that most enthusiasts out there are probably going to be seeking out, at least initially, at release. Falling in just behind that, we can see the 1700 and 1700X with the same core and thread count, as well as the L3 cache as the 1800X, but lower clock speeds at a nice discount for $319 and $389 respectively. These parts will be competing directly with Intel's i7-7700K. Competing with the i5 would be the 1600X and 1500 with 6 cores, 12 threads at $259 and $229. Time will tell how much these additional cores mean for gamers when competing with Intel's 7000 series, which can easily hit 5 GHz. Right now, there just aren't many games which leverage the additional cores that Ryzen is offering over Intel, but that is something that will likely improve over time, so maybe AMD has its eye on the long term in gaming, bringing its fine wine technology to the CPU space. Our next story focuses just on the 1700X CPU in terms of its raw performance in synthetic benchmarks against some of the top Intel processors currently available. Unfortunately, these are just synthetics, which only tell part of the story. The rest will have to come once we get to test some actual games, which is my main concern and likely many of you out there. The benchmark leak over on videocards.com, where they ran their own test on an i7-6800K at stock frequency, since the Ryzen CPU does not currently offer any overclocking or its boost features in its iteration. In the overall score, the 1700X does take down the 6800K here in CPU mark, but focusing on sections like physics and single-threaded performance, we can see Intel taking a strong lead. This concerns me because it's the two segments that would relate closest to gaming. I mean, winning in stuff like encryption and compression are pretty cool, but at the end of the day, this is a gaming channel and I need to see strong single-threaded performance if I'm going to recommend a particular CPU to someone for gaming, because current games, that's how they run. They take advantage of strong single-threaded performance. Only time will tell if games in the future with the introduction of more low-overhead API support may actually spread out over the additional cores. Like I said, though, that is something that could improve over time with these higher core, higher thread count parts from AMD. And with the 7700K also shown in these charts winning by significantly more than the 6800K, this doesn't look great for the 1700X just based on these benchmarks here. A couple other things to note is that the Ryzen CPU was running on an entry-level motherboard from MSI, and the memory timings on Ryzen were restricted to only 2400 MHz. So that could certainly have some effect on the end results, but just how much only time will tell. But please let me know your thoughts on today's stories down in the comments below. Do these initial single-threaded numbers worry you as a potential consumer and PC gamer? We don't have too much longer to go now, so start placing your bets. Who shall take the CPU crown in 2017? Will it be Intel or AMD? I'll catch you guys next time. Tura.